Hi, I'm Michael. One of the main reasons that we started doing videos is to try to inspire you to try to make something yourself. So in that spirit, today my 11-year-old daughter is going to share her first ever solo wood project with you. She's going to make a live edge cutting board with wood from the yard. Are you ready?
Let's get started. I started by picking out the wood that I wanted. I chose some maple from my yard and some Padouk. The maple was very uneven, so I drew on it with a pencil before putting it in the drum sander. This made it easier to know when the wood was done because when all the pencil was gone, I knew it was flat. I repeated this process with the rest of my boards so that then I had a nice flat surface for when I glued them together. I then measured the width of the main board and set the guard to the bandsaw to that width. I cut all my boards to that width. And then laid them out in the pattern that I liked. I didn't think too hard about the pattern, I just moved the wood around, so I thought it looked nice. I picked the width that I wanted the finished board to be, and then cut all the boards to that length. I then laid them out one last time before preparing my work surface for the glue up. I covered the surface with a silicone mat and some wax paper. My dad helped me put out the parallel bar clamps, and then I applied a lot of Type-On 3 to all the pieces, front and back. And I mean a lot. After tightening the clamps, I let it sit for about 10 minutes and then scraped off the excess glue to minimize how much sanding I would have to do later. Then I let it sit overnight to make sure the glue was completely dried before removing the clamps. It was on there pretty good, so I had to use a rubber mallet to bang it off the bar clamps. I then marked the edges of my board using a square and then cut the edges on the bandsaw. I then ran it through the drum sander to get a nice, even top. There are some bug tracks in the wood, so at first I tried picking them out with my fingernails, and then my dad stopped me and gave me a dental tool. It worked much better. And then I filled the gaps with Total Boat 2-to-1 epoxy.
So it's been sitting for about a day, and so I'm going to do the same thing to the other side.
I decided to get rid of the bark. So after both sides were hardened, I put the cutting board into a vise and removed the bark with a draw knife. And then I started my final sanding process. I ran it through the drum sander yet again to remove the extra resin. And then I sanded the whole thing with a random orbital sander with a 150 grit sanding pad. At this point, my dad told me to spray it with water to make the damaged wood fibers stand up before the final sand. If you don't do this the first time the board is washed, it will get a fuzzy feeling. Fuzzy cutting boards aren't good. The final sand was with 220 grit on the random orbital sander. I learned that sanding takes a really long time and it takes a lot of arm strength because it shakes a lot. But if you don't do sanding, then it won't turn out very well, so it's worth it. And then I finished the cutting board with a liberal amount of mineral oil and let that soak in for a couple of hours. And then did a final coat of Howard's Butcher's Block conditioner. This soaked in overnight, and then I buffed off the little bit of excess with a dry rag for the final finish. And then it was done!
Are you gonna share the board with us?
I love my board, Dad. It's like the best board. I think that it looks really good and that we are going to use it a lot.
I think you're right. Is there anything in particular that you learned while you were making it?
Well, I learned that I have to spray the wood before I do a final sand to make it a better quality cutting board. So the things don't pop up. Yeah,
so it's not fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
I learned that you have to put a lot of oil on it when you're trying to do that oil thingamajig.
And what did you think was the easiest part of making the board?
I thought that the easiest part of making the board was, let me think, doing that drum sanding thing, because you just have to put it in, then you take it out, and then you put it in again.
And what was the hardest part?
I thought that the hardest part was picking out the wood, because I didn't want to get the wrong color wood, because then it would look bad, and then I would ruin the entire thing, and then I'd be really sad.
All right, and was anything surprising to you during it?
Well, I was surprised that the Padouk could get so dark and rich after I put the oil on.
Okay,
That
good
was
answer.
impressive.
And was it harder to make or easier to make than you thought?
It was easier to make than I thought.
All right. This is another project done. And if you found any of this information helpful or inspiring, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.